So as I'm sure you all remember, last year the New England Patriots traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. It made a lot of sense at the time. However, now looking back at it, it didn't quite exactly work out as planned. Now that's not to say he didn't have any bright moments. Probably the biggest was against Baltimore, which was very early on. He ended up having 10 catches for 81 yards in this game. And this is a good example of just really how he was able to, get 10 catches and get the ball down the field. It's going to be man coverage, and basically they're both just running, the two receivers on the bottom of the screen are both just running routes that are going to be crossing each other. Sanu is the one second closest to the sideline, so he's going to be running down. And it's going to be pretty easy for him to, run down the field and just get open in general. Looks like they switch, but even with that, it's not enough. Sanu is just easily open. However, that's not really what I love about this play. What I like about it is that Sanu has to run towards the sideline to make this play, so now he's open. But he's just going to kind of realize where that Baltimore Raven is going to be coming towards him. He's figured out, okay, he's probably going to be coming, closer towards the sideline, so I should instead cut towards the middle of the field. He does that, cuts very well, and picks up more yards. Again, this is nothing crazy. It's not going for 95 yards, but the reality is Sanu is not the kind of guy who is going to be picking up those, huge bombs too often. He is kind of that, 10 catch for 81 yards type of guy. But I like that play because, it shows that he has good IQ and he knows exactly when to cut. There's many reasons why people have speculated why things sort of went wrong after this game. One of them is he not meshing with the offense? I mean, for one thing, that doesn't make much sense because you just think about it. I mean, he has such a unique skill set, and that kind of fits New England with guys who have unique skill sets. I mean, I actually had the thought the other day that, Sanu is basically Julian Edelman. They're basically the same person. I mean, they both can play quarterback. They both can return punts. They both run routes very similar where they're good route runners and know when to cut and are smart players and, shifty more so than just going to beat you with straight speed. They're basically the same players. So it would logically make sense that Sanu would fit in here. So I don't really think that that's actually true. And, they did use him in some clever ways. Like this play, it's going to be a handoff actually to Sanu where he takes the ball, runs up to the top of the screen. That's the way it's going to work. And after the ball is snapped, it works pretty well. He's able to rush up, get in a pretty good area. He does have some speed. And, I mean, you're going to see in that black circle, that's going to be the missed block. That's the only reason it didn't go for many more yards, because it's missed block. But Sanu still able to pick up 8 yards and probably would have had a first down had it not been because of that. And I'm just showing that play to kind of show he can do so many different things. And part of me wonders, with Cam Newton joining the team, what else he'll have to do and what else he'll get to do. Will we see more rushing plays now that Cam Newton is there? It could be interesting. Also, of course, last year, the main reason it didn't go so well is because he had a terrible quarterback who's completely inaccurate throwing to him. Okay, that's a joke. Obviously, Brady is still very good, but he did miss Sanu a few times. Like on this play, it's going to be a cover one play. Sanu's running over the middle. That's the way this play is going to work. And after the ball is snapped, you're going to notice that Sanu is just going to get completely wide open. I mean, he's just, easily open. This is a play that you really expect Brady to make 10 out of 10 times. However, it's apparently 9 out of 10 because he misses this one. And again, I'm not showing this to say that Brady was actively bad last year, but he definitely missed some throws and wasn't as accurate as he has been in years past. And so that did hurt Sanu to some degree. Now, that route's admittedly not the most difficult route to get open on, but when you're getting wide open, you do want the ball to come your way, and it's got to be frustrating when there's a missed throw, although again, not exactly like that was a huge factor. I mean, the reality is, usually there's not just one thing that goes wrong when a player isn't meshing well. Usually it isn't just one thing you can point out. It's way more often a bunch of factors, and I do think that this was a factor, although maybe not the biggest one. In fact, if I had to pick the biggest factor, I probably would say the injury. I mean, there were some routes that I'm just Sanu doesn't look 100%. Like on this play, it's zone coverage, cover 4 zone, and the way it's going to work is that those are the two routes that the New England receivers are running. The receiver on the bottom of the screen runs deep, and the hope is that both Cincinnati defensive backs who are in that area stay deep, so when Sanu then cuts down closer to the bottom of the screen, he can get wide open. That's the hope here. And after the ball is snapped, it's seemingly working out pretty well. Now, the Cincinnati player who I have in that yellow box, he notices what's going on, so he's going to try to cut and try to make a play. But Sanu is so far away from him that, this just should not be an incompletion. He should easily be able to cut down, get a lot of separation, and get open and make the catch. But you notice that he just, he looks so slow, and he does not cut well whatsoever, and they're easily able to take that route away. And, again, that's just, to me, he doesn't look healthy on that play. He just doesn't. He needs to be getting more open on that kind of thing. And so that's kind of why I do kind of think that maybe he wasn't 100%, and the injury probably did have something to do with it. Now, we can't blame it all on the injury, but I do think it played a role. On that route, that's a situation where you expect the receiver to get open. You build that whole play around that working out, and when it doesn't because one of your receivers, isn't cutting well and isn't running quickly, it just makes things so much more difficult on a quarterback and on an offensive coordinator or a coach. Although, again, should be mentioned, we can't blame it all on the injury. Like this next one I'm going to show you. Typically, he has good hands. This is going to be an exception where it's zone coverage, and to have a zone buster right there, so a player runs deep, and then Sanu is going to cut closer to the middle of the field. The idea is that, it pushes Houston Texans deep. Sanu gets open shallow, and he can make a play. Pretty simple concept. And as you see, it works out. Sanu is able to get completely wide open here. And it's not going to be a perfect throw from Brady, but Sanu just isn't able to make the play. And again, it's little things like that. There was just a lot of clunkiness going on, and he just didn't look like he was totally... Again, it's hard to really say exactly what went wrong in some of these plays. It just kind of looked clunky. He just didn't look comfortable, I think. And part of that might be mental. It might be because he's not getting open as much because of his injury. Now he's starting to make some of the mistakes that he typically would have never made. And I actually do think that's probably what happened. But that being said, despite all of the problems that happened in New England, it's not like he was a complete disaster. And there is definitely some thought of potentially there being hope for next season for Sanu. Even without creating separation, that's what everyone talks about, that New England's receivers were last in the league in separation. But even without him creating separation, he could sometimes get open. Like on this play, it's going to be a slant route. He's on the top of the screen. And what's going to happen is that right after the ball is snapped, you notice that there is some contact. That's what the defensive back is going to do, but he's just not able to push Sanu out of the way in any way. So now Sanu is still open, despite the fact that there's really no separation, and he's open right at the first down marker, which is exactly where, he needs to be. So now when the throw goes his way, he's able to make the grab and fall forward and pick up the first down. So, again, yes, maybe some things didn't go great when he went to the Patriots, but he's still 6'2". Going to New England didn't cause him to shrink, so he still is tall, he still is big, and even with his struggles, he was still able to have some small contributions, which is important. And I also think it's worth mentioning, one of the main reasons we were all, or at least a lot of us, were very high on this trade when New England traded for Sanu, is because we just felt like Sanu was a guy who just made sense to play for the Patriots. That just logically makes sense. He fits them so well. And all of those things are still true. Just because it didn't work the first year doesn't mean it's never going to work. Like on this play, for example, you're going to see that this is going to be, it's set up as though it's going to be a screen pass, and that's Sanu. So he's going to start off as though he's blocking. But then they're going to have the receivers run out like that. So it's just a fake. They're trying to see if they can get somebody out of position. That's the goal. And what I want you to look at right when this play starts is going to be, look at how much Sanu sells as though he's blocking. He totally runs down. He's totally selling this part. And so because of that, now it's going to be a little bit more difficult for the other Indianapolis players to totally realize what's going on. So that Colts player, he sees, hey, something's going on here. I should run down and, be able to take away a potential screen pass. But the second he does that, Sanu cuts down over the middle, and he's able to make the catch and get open. And listen, again, that's something that New England does. That's a play that New England will run from time to time. I've literally seen them run that exact play before, and they run things like that before. So, he's a 31-year-old veteran. He's played in great offenses before, notably the Kyle Shanahan offense. And, when healthy, he cuts very well, has good speed, and, is a really high IQ football player. So he kind of fits that New England mode, and it really is going to come down to, can he get fully healthy, and can he get back to the player that we've seen him be in the past? And also, I'll, end this video by saying, listen, New England made a dynasty off of getting players who maybe aren't perfect, but can do a couple of things well. So he doesn't have to be perfect and be able to do everything well. He just has to be able to find a role and then, do his job very well. And I think that he can find a job for himself to do for sure. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Sanu can bounce back in 2020? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.